All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be going over 2024 goals. What did I achieve? What did I not achieve? And how we set goals for 2025 and build a vision board that reflects that. I am very, very big on setting goals, setting a vision, because if you're not vision casting into the future of what you want, what you're working towards, a lot of the time we can lose that spark and lose that motivation and that drive that helps us be accountable every single day. And so a lot of the time, if someone's struggling with motivation, they're struggling with direction and just having that inner passion, it's usually a reflection of them not being connected to what their vision is, what their purpose is, which is building themselves into someone that they can admire and just be proud of. I'm going to start off with the goals that I had for 2024, and did I hit them? Did I not? So what I always do when I set goals, whether it be for the year, the month, or the week, is use the 4 core, which is health, wealth/career, relationships, and self. So when I go through these goals, starting off with business, for me, obviously is wealth/career related. This year was very, let's just say, not gone as planned, but in the best way possible. Basically dismantling my entire business and what I wanted it to be and who I wanted to do it with as far as clients and just why I was doing it in the first place. You know, I think that this year was a big year of awakening for me and understanding where my drive was coming from. And a lot of that drive that I had to build my business was very extrinsic. It wasn't intrinsic. A lot of that has just been rooted in finding acceptance and hoping that someone sees me. And now I've kind of healed, or at least I'm on that journey to healing that myself. And so a lot of the ways that I'm rebuilding now in the business category have been from a place of more internal motivation, doing it for different reasons, and that has helped me build in a way that is actually at its core aligned with my values, rather than before. You know, I was chasing this like something that I didn't even know why I wanted or what I wanted. I was just building more and more and more for no reason. And so when all of that kind of got let go of and in a sense collapsed, I didn't really know what I wanted anymore. I looked at the fitness industry and I said, I don't even know if I want to be a part of this anymore with everything that's going on and, you know, what's being pushed and watching people be successful who are pushing the wrong messages. And it just led me to be very demotivated. But in that same breath, I kind of had an awakening moment of, okay, well, it's my responsibility to change this, and I get to do this. I get to change what the fitness industry is like. And I get to do this in my own way, in the way that I want it to, and not worry about anyone else, and align it with my values. And so since doing that, I've been rebuilding, and it's felt so, so good. But the whole purpose of me saying this is that a lot of my business goals are so far from achieved that it's actually kind of funny to look at them. God had different plans for me this year. You know, I was kind of forced into a place where I asked for growth. I asked to be aligned with my mission, and that if this was for me, if fitness coaching and being a mentor and a leader is for me, then please show me. Show me the way, because I don't know anymore. And when I submissed and I surrendered to that, things started to fall into place, and maybe not in a way that I wanted them to. Things were taken away from me. Things were stripped away from me. And it just left me with the bare bones of, what are my values? Who am I? Let's rebuild this thing together in the right way. And it's been the biggest blessing and the biggest gift that I could have ever asked for. And I think that's what comes with having a journey in faith and just like following that and trusting that. And so I achieved so much outside of just the numbers business-wise, but going through it, you know, there was like maybe 3 of the actual goals that I set were achieved out of like 15 of them. And usually I set a lot of goals, not really knowing what's to come. And I think that's like such an important part of the process, is knowing that even if you set these goals, they might not happen if there are different plans for you ahead of you that you don't know about. But it's in the pursuit of the goals that you have set that you're going to discover different things about yourself that might change the course of your path. It might change your mind on some of the goals. You might realize that, oh, I need to go through this thing first before I can reach that goal. So now I look at some of these goals and I say, I can actually see myself accomplishing these this year if God has it in the plans, because I've been through everything that I've been through this year to build myself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. So like I needed that year of growth on the emotional, mental, and spiritual side to be able to come out and have more of the material growth, because I value it differently. You know, the material isn't about accomplishment and recognition. It's about, I know that the material success is just a reflection of what I'm doing, the impact that I'm making in the world, and speaking through God and letting that be a vessel, letting myself be a vessel to the world, of God's message and what we need to do on this planet. So yeah, business-wise, one big thing that I really did accomplish this year was saying yes to clients that will build the culture and turn away the ones that won't. There's a lot of times where I wanted to take on people who would just bring in more clients, but keeping that integrity to myself and to the program has been such a blessing, because the girls that we have right now are such a solid group. They work hard and they're committed to their journey on a different level. And so one thing I put on my vision board last year at the start was it's like a picture of a lock and a chain, and it says culture across it, meaning that I gatekeep my program, I gatekeep my community, because I want people in there who are committed, they're communicative, they are responsible, they're accountable. And some people struggle with that very much, but at least they're willing to learn it. They're learning to be accountable, they're learning to be communicative. And so just really at the core, I want people who have a good heart. And I think just in doing that, I've attracted people who more so tell themselves the truth rather than the people who are still out of alignment with the truth. A lot of people want to change and they want to see growth, and they're not yet willing to just be truthful with themselves and others and just be like super responsible in that way. And another thing to note before we move on to the next section is, in the business side of things and the career side of things, if you're someone who doesn't own your own business and you're in a career and you want to set financial goals, you want to set like growth goals within your company or whatever it is, you don't have to have the expectation that like everything is going to be achieved. I think from the start, like, you want to have that excitement towards it, but just know that when you get to the end of the year and you look at your list and maybe not every single thing is checked off, there were reasons for that. There were different journeys that were placed into your path that you needed to go on to develop yourself to make you capable of achieving those goals, right? And so for me, that's been just a big part of this year. And when I look at these goals, I don't think that I failed in business, because I could go and write out 15 other different things that I accomplished in my career or business that aren't these goals. Another big career / purpose related goal for me was starting this YouTube. I had big goals for this YouTube for this year, and as I kind of got into it, I realized how difficult it really is to build a community here and to just build a following. It takes a lot more work than really any other platform, but it is also the most rewarding, and I cannot wait to continue building that this year. That's really like going to be my main focus. That was one thing I actually did accomplish, is I started vlogging every single week. Before this year, I had never even made a YouTube video. I had never even tried. And so just like putting those videos out and making them be imperfect. Like, if you go back to my first few videos, they're so different than the ones now. And like even the thumbnails and things like that, like, you have to put your feet forward and you have to walk the walk to be able to learn along the way. You're not going to know everything right away. Be willing to put out the shitty videos, be willing to like just throw something and hope that it sticks, and then adjust along the way and find that rhythm and just let yourself improve from there. Now, from the fitness and health standpoint, this was a very, very, very big year for me. I would say my most successful year in my physical health that I've ever had. If you don't know, I used to very heavily struggle with acne. I'll pop a photo up here just to show you guys how far I've come in the last couple of years. And that was all a reflection of my gut health, the stress that I was carrying in my body from toxic relationships, and just like not being at peace with myself and being super in my masculine energy. And so since healing that, which is actually something that was on my vision board, was to have a better balance between the masculine and the feminine, I very much found more inner peace in my body, and so my body has stopped fighting me. It stopped fighting my digestion. It stopped fighting and trying to like escape itself, So the skin has very much cleared up from that, but also improving my nutrition drastically. Like, I eat almost entirely animal-based now. I don't put shit in my body. I don't put seed oils in my body. I don't do any of that unless it's like maybe a one-off thing every couple weeks or every month or something like that. And that has very much helped as well. I've just been a lot more responsible and accountable and on top of my shit, like water intake every day, that kind of thing, like the basics that everybody says that they do, but they don't do consistently. Like that's where the real work is done. So a lot of that has been just like prioritizing myself over everything this year and prioritizing like, what do I truly want? which is to feel good, is to feel truly energized within my body and not just like look the part. Because most people on social media, I've discovered, they look the part, they look amazing, they look shredded, but their hormones are absolutely fucked, their digestive system is fucked, their energy is horrible, they're crashing, they're living off caffeine, but they can present that they look amazing, and so they think that they feel amazing. And I've discovered, because I've been down that road, that it can be a lot better, and it's worth it. You can have both. You can have the internal health and the energy, and you can also look really good too. So a lot of what I wanted to achieve this year was just prioritizing athleticism and overall health more. I went through a little phase where I really attacked that, and then I realized and kind of pulled back what I truly wanted. So if you haven't seen those videos, they're back on my channel. I won't go too deep into that, but also like elevating my wardrobe and leaning more into like my personal style, like not wearing what other people are wearing, but more so just like finding my inner tomboy again with a little bit of that feminine feel to it, which has been just, it feels good. You know, it feels good to like come back home to yourself. And then like monthly facials is not something that I did as much this year because I didn't really need them as much as I did the previous year, but I got them when I need them, and then I really took care of my skin outside of that. Improving my micronutrient intake, I crushed that. Build my shoulders, chest, and back, I absolutely crushed that as well. Those are probably like my biggest growth points on my body. This year it's going to be legs, but last year I definitely crushed that. Be a better client and athlete, so I felt like I was kind of falling short in, I guess, just like my communication with my coach and being open and vulnerable. And a lot of the times, you know, we get this internal blame shift to like, okay, things aren't going well and I'm frustrated. And we start thinking about the things that we can blame. And like I found myself doing that a lot and thinking that, oh, maybe things would be better if I was just like on my own. But I realized the reason I was feeling that way is because I was getting triggered into growth from my coach. And as soon as I leaned into that, I've been honestly really proud of myself in the way that I've shown up as a client, because I know if I show up in that way for a program and for my coach, like that's just a reflection of how I'm showing up for myself. If I can communicate really effectively and like express where I'm at and where I'm coming from to my coach, I know that I can do that with myself, and I can really process those emotions and like work through them when I'm feeling a certain type of way. I also had on here a healthy feminine and masculine energetic balance. So if you don't know, I've talked a little bit about this before, but I used to be very, very, very into my masculine energy of like get shit done, goals at whatever cost, like lose sleep, wake up at 4 a.m. and like grind mode. And it absolutely exhausted me. It destroyed my hormones, but it built my business and I got to be quite successful from that point. So letting go of that, like I got to a point where I was like, I can't keep operating like this because it's destroying me. And I started to realize that and wake up from that. But I also had this fear because I had built my entire life and business and who I was from that place. So when I let go of that, I felt like I was losing it all. And I kind of was, because I lost a lot of what I had built by letting go of that. But I also knew that if I were to swing into the opposite end of the spectrum and go into the super feminine, where I'm just like flowy and I'm not super structured and systemized, and I listen to my body more, that I could then find the middle after. And that's exactly what I've done this year. I'm still working on it, but it's been such a journey that I'm so grateful for, because I've found the parts of me that are more masculine and goal-oriented and like aggressive and driven, and appreciated those things about myself that I once hated as I was coming out of that masculine phase. And I've brought it into the feminine as well and like found that flow. And now I feel unstoppable because I truly know what I need. I know how to take care of myself. I just like, yeah, I operate from a different place. So that's been amazing. Improving my natural energy has obviously happened as a result of everything else. I also completed a healthy building phase, which is something that was on my goal list. I got up to 129 pounds, which I documented, I think, most of that on the YouTube channel. I'm currently now at 124.8 pounds, so working to get back into that cut and back into, you know, somewhere around that like 121, 122 range, likely, depending on how I feel, we'll see. But yeah, I did complete that and I felt really good about it. I was super accountable during that time. I guess more so like I wasn't accountable, I just became the person that values what I value and has these habits and has this lifestyle. And because it's just the way that I live, it's not that I needed to stay accountable to anything. It was just who I am and what I do. And that's a whole different way of living. It makes consistency super easy because consistency is not even like a topic, when you're someone who just lives the life and walks the walk and like is that person. So anyway, that kind of wraps up the health and fitness side of things. Relationships, set a lot of goals here as well, but I think the relationship with myself really needed to improve more than anything before I could then pour into other people. So one big thing that I wanted to accomplish this year was just like go deeper with myself so I can go deeper with others, because the depth that you can go with others is only a reflection of the depth that you can go with yourself. And so that's something I very much worked on this year, and it's allowed me to just like ask the people in my life better questions rather than trying to fix them or give them advice or whatever it might be. It's just leaning back and being more in grace for these people around me and ask them the right questions to help them into their own growth, or just be supportive without any sort of agenda, just being able to like be there for those people when they need it, when they need that support. So yeah, that's been a really big goal that I've accomplished this year. A high quality social circle. This is something that I'm honestly so happy with. I have left a lot of people behind, as far as like friendships and just different phases and periods of life. And I'm so eternally grateful for those people, no matter what. They will always be a part of who I am today. It makes me emotional to talk about because it's still something that I am currently healing through. But just being able to like know when something doesn't align anymore, and be willing to like, out of love, let that go, move forward, and find people who are in alignment with you and want the best for you, and have your best interest at heart. And so I found a couple people through the gym this year and just grown closer with them, and actually like opened up my heart to those people, which I have been very closed off in the last few years from that. But I'm very selective of who I allow in. I'm very selective of who I tell my business to, both on a personal level and a career level, for many reasons. But the people that I have in my life now, I'm just very appreciative of. And something that I'm working on with that is working through the blocks that I have with my heart. I've been through a lot in the last 7 years, namely losing my dog. She was my absolute best friend, going through some of the hardest times in my life and the biggest periods of growth in my life. I completed 75 hard with that dog like 3 times. She came out on a walk with me every single day. She was like my little companion. We just had such a close bond, and I lost her unexpectedly. And during that time, I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know how to deal with the emotions, and instead I buried myself in work. I buried myself in the gym and just distracted from that pain, and it closed off my heart because I was very hurt from it and just didn't know how to process that. Also going through a lot of toxic relationships and things previous years, it definitely like closed my heart off a lot. I found that pattern has come up where I want to isolate a lot of the time. If I have a friend that texts me or asks how I'm doing, sometimes it's like I want to isolate or just avoid. And that's something that I'm currently working through, and just being a better friend and being a better partner, and just being a better leader in that way. And now some of the personal goals that I had didn't get accomplished, which to be expected, with the year that I went through. Again, God had different plans for me, and I'm very grateful for that. But one of the big ones that I wanted to accomplish this year, I wanted to go a whole year with no business coach. And to sit here and reflect, like, that is something that is a huge accomplishment for me, because I've always been someone who needs that outside approval, who needs that okay. But I also wouldn't let myself be seen. So, half the time when I had a coach, I wouldn't ask questions. I wouldn't just be in the spotlight because I was afraid. I was afraid to be seen, but yet I also was seeking that approval from my coaches. And I had a business coach since the day I started my business, and that's like a big reason why I had to dismantle my entire business this past year, because I built it off of someone else's framework and someone else's, value system. And I no longer aligned with that value system. Half the shit I was doing or more didn't make sense for me, and it didn't align. And so my goal this year was to trust myself enough to build on my own, to make the calls, to call the shots, to build what I truly wanted and go internally and not hear about what everybody else is doing. What are all these other fitness coaches doing? How are they doing it? How should I do it? I made decisions for me, and my business currently reflects that. Everything that I do from top to bottom came from internally. So to have gone an entire year without that has been, it's built so much trust within myself that like I can get through anything. Don't get me wrong, I did have a fitness coach during this time who was more of like a personal development mentor to me, and I think that is very important. But from like a business aspect, I think it's also really important to have seasons in your life where you know what you need when you need it, and the answers are going to come from within. Like business is very much a deep, deep journey within yourself of like personal development, and you can't outsource that. You can't hire for that. You cannot ask a business coach to do that work for you. And so for me this year, I knew that this is what I had to do. And like, I know that when I do eventually hire a business coach or mentor again, it won't be a safety net for them to give me answers that I just simply needed to give myself. And then another big goal for me this year was to travel more. Now, obviously with rebuilding the business, that kind of took a hit. But as I was looking through my photos and videos over the last year, I realized I traveled a lot. I don't know how I managed it, but I did. And I prioritized that. I said, like, this is something that is valuable to me. I know that when I travel and I spend the money to do this, I get more creative, I heal, I just kind of get into a more emotional state. It's very, very, very good for me from like a personal aspect and a business aspect too. So I went to the East Coast with my partner. I went on a retreat with my fitness coach's community. We went to Vegas for that. I also went to Mexico with my family for 2 weeks for a wedding. I also went on a few ski trips like in the mountains. So there was a lot of things that I actually did this year. And so I feel very confident in checking that goal off. Okay, so moving on. Before filming this video, I've already done a lot of this work personally. I've spent hours just reflecting on 2024, reviewing it, appreciating everything that has gone on and the person that I've become through the process. And so if you're gonna do this for yourself, I highly recommend not just to go through your goal list, but like sit and reflect on who did you want to become? How far have you come as a person in your habits, your behaviors, your patterns, your emotional intelligence, and your inner peace? Like how far have you come in those areas and not just the goal list that you have in front of you? I think in spending time in that reflection, you're able to recognize all of the challenges that you've gone through that you can then appreciate. Because if you just fly through life and you keep getting hit with these challenges, you never spend the time to reflect and appreciate what did that do for you? What were the lessons that came with that, and like who did that build you into? You just kind of build up this resentment towards life where you don't actually have a deep level of appreciation for yourself and all that you've been through and accomplished and like what it taught you. So spend that time to reflect and review. Now, setting goals for 2025. My goals are a lot more intentional this year. They're a lot more specific to what I need, and they're not just outrageous goals that are going to make me feel accomplished. They're like, why is this goal being set and what's it going to take me towards based off of my internal value system? I'm not just setting goals based off of like, the more I can achieve, the better. It's, here are the goals that I need to get where I want to go. And in knowing where you want to go, you can set more accurate goals. So I recommend spending some time visualizing, spending some time thinking about what is it that you want, where you want to be in a year from now in all of the categories of life. What do you want your life to look like? And then you can start breaking that down into actual steps, real goals, real things that are going to move the needle forward for you. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Make sure you tune into the next one where I go over my vision board and goal setting process for 2025. But I hope you enjoyed this one, just me diving into a little bit of reflection. And I hope that you take the time to do this for yourself because it will give you so much clarity moving into the goal setting vision board process for 2025. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to come along the journey with me into 2025, make sure you hit the subscribe button and we'll catch you in the next one.